on the attack. One opportunity that they have had has been top lane carries, and they've even talked about in the past, can they blind pick a carry for Wonder in this matchup versus Gimgoon? Because FPX do not look to have that be the priority for them on the Rift. And G2 are definitely more flexible in the amount of ways that they can win the game.
That will be an evolving story as the draft goes on. We do see a change in bans. Rakan is banned by G2, so Ryze left open. FPX kind of did a favor. They banned Kai'Sa themselves, but they are going to claim the Xayah, which is much lower priority for LWX, and I guess that's why G2 left it open.
And this was the kind of ban that we were discussing that you can let go. In response to the Xayah first pick, though, it comes at the cost of the two most prominent Doinb champions.
Ryze and Nautilus here. Potential flex options abound, including Wonder. Rolling back that top lane Ryze. FPX, they've got Xayah, but again, only 3 games on the year for LWX, looking at summer season onwards. On that Xayah, no Rakan to pair with it. Let's see how the first round goes here, as Tian is going to stay with comfort on the Lee Sin.
It's worked for him so far this series, and with Gragas and Lee Sin taken off the table, does Jankos consider locking in a jungler now? Or what direction do they pivot? AD carry for Perk.
Exactly. You have to make the choice right now. Are you going to put more priority on that early game for Jankos, which I think a lot of people are looking towards right now, since that has been the area to get the start of momentum for the game, which has determined the way this series has gone? Or do you actually try and lock it in for Perks before he receives more bans? Because, as you know, the Nautilus could very well be in Mickey's hands or Cap's.
Lane domination.
And the gauntlet has been thrown by FPX. They've got double globals that they can throw to that bottom side of the map. It is Gimgoon's tried and true gangplank and a mid-lane Galio for Doinb. Meanwhile, G2 have to lay it down. What's going to be the final carry?
And it is the Vigor locked in. It has been a fringe pick here at the World Championship, but what do you make of it, Papa?
Remember that started with a Dravenhover, which means they were considering Ezreal mid. This could actually be Ezreal mid into the Galio. You don't have to run the Veigar there. This is another one where if you consider, put down the cage, hook someone into it, that's a whole lot of crowd control. So let's wait till 20 seconds to really fully put the picture together.
Definitely true. Ezreal can try and start pushing that wave, fire those Mystic shots through, but they've only got 2 seconds left to make it happen. There will be no twist at the end of this champion select.
Now, if there is one thing that G2 is signaling, with the baby cage from a Vigor and the Cataclysm from Jarvan, if they can't win the team fights, they sure as hell want to put walls up to prevent FPX steamrolling them. The disruption that those two champions will cause in these mid-game fights could be the turning point for G2.
But then Galio and Thresh have similar opportunities. We're shouting during this pick and ban. This is going to be an intriguing one. To me, Jankos has to be the MVP. He has the ganking jungler. He needs to get the ganking done.
He needs to be the summer split MVP Jankos. The man that once wore the moniker of the First Blood King. Here on European soil, the European champions carrying the hope of Europe. But the man on your screen, the dancing, singing Wonder Kid super carry from the LPL, wants to close this out 3-0, and we are moments away from what could be the final game of Worlds 2019.
There is that Summoners Cup. We do hold out hope. We don't have a repeat of the 3-0 last year. This is going to be an awesome one.
Just very quickly, if you don't know the FPX story, we tried to talk about in the previous game, the experience of FunPlus Phoenix. Papa Smithy, you were talking about it in draft. This is a team that has popped up on the international stage. They have 15 games played across the board. FunPlus Phoenix as an organization had a huge turning point once Tian and Duenby joined the organization, comparing their win-losses from 2018 to 2019.
And the freshness of these players to the international stage makes this performance and this dominance that much more impressive.
It's a 90% win rate on the regular season, and Doinby was asked about play styles and kind of understanding him. He said, every team that I come on plays a certain style. That is the FPX style, but it fits them so well.
And he brings something that's incredibly important in Pro League. It's leadership to every team that he joins. Perks now under attack.
All right, flash for flash, it's traded. Arcane Shifter, I think used there as well. Now the blue buff is under siege. FunPlus Phoenix will be able to secure this one. Now, any other AD carry, I think that'd be a little bit more valuable, but there is some wiggle room on an Ezreal with that E.
But flash for flash, when G2 could have gone for a non-sided bot lane and went Ezreal bot so they could play top side, means that suddenly on the weak side, Ezreal goes from being unflappable to potentially taken down. So there still is a reward there as Jankos going buff to buff.
Plus, this is very intentional from FPX. They're trying to split the map once again. And we briefly talked about it last time, but this is what happens to the jungle when you do one of those early invades. It basically means you have to cross for the buffs, and you're going to leave behind one of the wolves to have a delayed spawn on the enemy's experience. But the biggest effect of it is not on the junglers themselves. It's actually on those lane matchups, and it's allowing that bottom lane where the flash discrepancy on the Ezreal is being pushed under the tower. Now the hook lands.
Oh man, that death sentence is fantastic. Mickey down to 100 HP. LWX and Chris have just been the superior 2v2 this series.
FPX open up a point to attack, and they're trying to just get the maximum out of this bottom lane advantage.
Perks actually spotted Tian
Sonic
with the Q, so knew he was there. Positioned accordingly.
This is such a risky tower dive, and Perks and Mickey, they want to get away. Sonic Wave should still be on cooldown, and the Demolish will allow some damage to this tower.
Minions denied here. One melee goes down. They're trying to zone them even from experience here. Are they going to make their way back in?
0 CS for Perks. 3.5 minutes into the game. Nearly 3 full waves, and Perks just gets on the board. He's flashless, he's CS-less, he's experienceless, and capsless. He's ready to survive.
And look at the respectful timing from FPX. They are maintaining a couple of seconds lead on G2. You saw Jankos heading down after the recall on Jarvan, but FPX already pulled out of the bottom lane play. They let up on the pressure and actually turned towards mid lane so they don't get caught under the tower red-handed.
And Kobe, the decision-making here was fascinating because I was looking and saying, all right, red buff stolen, blue buff claimed. As a level 2 Lee Sin, because you can't actually get level 3 from the bot side of the jungle inside it on blue buff, you can't really invade against a Jarvan, you'll be caught red-handed. Instead, they make it about what they do have, the ability to zone away, the ability to deny the Ezreal, and instead, they claim in a scenario where I think 8 out of 10 teams would have been 3 buff.
Now again, we talked about the pressure that transitions through Summoner's Rift. Now there is a big wave building up on top side. That's where your jungler has to be. Tian has already taken the Scuttle Crab and helping Gimgoon move up that wave. trying to take away the possibility of an answer from Jankos, the offensive gank from Jarvan. Now he's found him, and they can feel secure.
All right, picking a fight there over the big chicken. Jankos and Tian now trading a little bit, looking at the minimap. Caps is pushed all the way to his tower, still farming up with that baleful strike. Now from behind, Crisp, no flash available. If the death sentence lands with the help of Tian, there might be enough damage. But obviously the Galio at this point in the game, maybe not just enough.
This is why we keep highlighting Tian. He doesn't even go for the recall on Lee Sin. He's doing as much as he can to set these lanes up so they can fend for themselves.
3 games in a row, Lee Sin has had the map pressure early, not even farm to level 6 like we so often see. Really impressive jungling performance here. The biggest delta between the two teams to me is the two junglers.
And it was what we anticipated. Tian has been one of the most impressive junglers all tournament long, and he's had a significantly bigger impact in the early stages than what Jankos has been able to do.
All right, now the big minion wave on bottom side allows FPX to get the recall off. Definitely a lot of vision here for G2. Let's see if Chris actually risks trying to get into the tower, and they are going to do it.
Okay, so 25 CS to 41. That's where Perkz is playing with. Now it is matched in the top lane as Wonder's 44 to 25. LWX comes back in with a TP.
And he comes back in with a BF sword. So the most combat stats versus the least combat stats here on the back, and that's because Perkz has been necessitated into bad back timings.
And let me highlight once again, Tian, he moves down because there's a pushing minion wave bottom. So
you know how this goes, Kobe.
Exactly. Every time they play with the waxing and waning of minion waves on Summoner's Rift, and so they don't lose out on any of those extra gold pickups.
And even though G2 prepped for it and tried to find counters, turns out you keep doing that, especially with the damage lead that the Xayah has. You just take L's incrementally again and again as this Ezreal, who's on welfare in the early game.
And this time we see defense from Jankos. Make sure that there's no dive possible. FPX just turn their sights towards the dragon. They'll pick up the mountain.
All right, Mountain Drake uncontested here with all the control that FPX have been able to accrue. Now, we haven't seen too much of that top lane, but I do want to track it. Wonder is continuing to farm up, as you somewhat expect in the early game. Gimgum has hit level 6, so if any of those bot lane plays come down, Cannon Barrage, Hero's Entrance, Perkz and Mickey could be in a lot of trouble.
Definitely been the story throughout this series. What could be the possible changes here that G2 could throw into it, though? And those things come from mobility and crowd control. The reason this Veigar is picked is because of the AoE CC. We always see it with the Glacial Augments. You can try and chase down and find those kills and set your team up to start the snowball in their favor.
While there's the S word, scaling on Ryze, on Veigar, late game looks good. We've learned that the meta in 2019 isn't about scaling. It's about being forced into a decision again and again, and making no play is often worse than making a bad play. Right now, they haven't been able to find Gangster Jarvan. He's out of position for this zone off, and that's 3 plates done in an instant.
And just count the objectives that FPX get with this big minion wave. They get multiple turret plates. They deny CS from Perkz.
They're going to get a turret.
They also are going to get the whole thing. That's first turret bonus.
Yeah, absolutely beautifully played here by FPX. No jitters, no nerves. They get that flash from Perkz, and they just keep twisting the pressure until the tower breaks. Now, some kudos to Perkz and Mickey. They did play respectfully and defensively. They didn't give up more. But when you're down 1,000 gold in your penultimate or final game, it is a problem.
Exactly. We saw this all season long from FPX in the LPL. Once again, LWX, richest man on the Rift.
He is for sure, and all of that from a flash for flash. That was the right call. If you can get the 80 carries flash, an 80 carry you know wants to play without jungle help in an Ezreal, then you just can get cascading advantages. And it comes back to what I was mentioning about how things are in this meta. G2 haven't got anywhere to target, haven't got anywhere they want to fight, and they keep losing and not claiming anything for themselves.
I would say the one area that G2 can look for is to try and play around Wonder. There's an equally big CS lead growing for this Ryze, and we always mention, the Ryze matchup into Gangplank. He's been doing a very good job of trying to get that while FPX have been able to get a big lead on bottom. Wonder should be the point for G2 to mount the counterattack. The Ryze, everything was invested into it.
And that's why you can see FPX attacking him in the top lane. after that first tower fell, just want to let you know that was the fastest first tower of Worlds 2019. Just in the previous game, FPX set the fastest Baron of Worlds 2019, and FPX may want to set another record winning this final. They're putting pressure on the top lane tower, and there's no initiation just yet.
Attack the winning lane. No longer does Rise get to just wail away on a GP, and remember, GP has his ult while he's parked bot lane against the Ezreal, so they can always outnumber us. Here we go.
Yankos, he failed flashes! He hits the wall! Doinby trades a flash for a flash, and Yankos is able to escape for now.
And look, they're making a lane swap once again. Perkz uses the teleport up to top side to equalize, and they're sending Wonder bottom. This is in preparation for the possible play around Rift Herald. We're entering 10 minutes, it will spawn, and this opens up G2 with the extra teleport on Rise. They can actually go for an answer.
Can read so much into that face plant flash from Yankos. He has been somewhat run around in circles this series. His team is down 1,000 gold already. We've just crested the 10-minute mark, and that Rift Herald has been set up, it has been secured, and it is safe for FPX.
No kills on the board, but it's so hard for G2 to contest when they haven't got their scaling down. And remember that FPX got advantages with globals, and that doesn't usually happen because you usually sacrifice globals, long cooldowns, for just other stats. You pay for having AoE globals especially, and neither of them have been used. Therefore, G2 have to continue to cede advantages.
That is such an early Rift Herald for FPX that they will get immediate gold out of it. Yep, Tien immediately just pops on top side. They're just trying to funnel as much into LWX so you can get your crit multipliers going on Xayah, and then you force the team fights with your Galio Lee Sin engages.
Tian has the possibility to go for a dive here. The boop from Shelly easily secures the second tower. LWX up 20 CS already. Perkz and Mickey trying to do what they can to push back the siege from FPX, but they are faltering and falling behind.
20 CS and at least a share in 10 plates at 11 minutes in the game.
All right, we're 11 minutes, 25 seconds on the clock. The latest first blood of the World Championship clocks in at 15:52. We're a few minutes away from that record, and G2 will want to secure it because they need some bonus gold back. They need to get themselves back into this game before it runs away. They're falling behind.
Yeah, there you can say that again. They've lost so much territory, Quickshot. FPX are actually setting up for a possible pre-turret plate fall, all outer turrets taken for themselves. You see the rotation now mid. Because those are the standing turret plates left, LWX and Chris immediately there with Doinby. They push as hard as they can.
Oh, here comes Yankos. Cataclysm is available to him. Tian is going to be securing the second dragon of the game. G2 Esports are being pushed further and further behind. No team in the history of League has been able to complete the Grand Slam. G2 are not looking likely of being the first one able. RNG faltered, SKT faltered, and right now, 12 minutes, you have to feel that G2 is going to falter, and at the final hurdle.
Exactly, quick shot. It's just so obnoxious to play against this FPX comp from ahead. They could use the Gimgoon ult to stop Ezreal from getting more turret plates on the top side. Galio teleports in there. Thing about a Veigar for Caps is doesn't force anything in the early game. They haven't been able to play through it. And Doinby just wants to wave clear, buy time for the plates to go down.
Right, just a reminder, the latest first blood, small correction from earlier, 15 minutes, 22 seconds, 2.5 minutes away from it. At 13 in the game, Caps TPs to the top lane. Realm Warp is now coming in behind the tower, and Wonder will not be able to find any follow-up. He is currently the pressure point for G2. Plus 40 CS in the top lane, Kobe, and as it stands, he needs to find a way to bring G2 back into this game.
And look how much power FPX are bringing to the map. That was literally just Chris roaming up with the Moby boots on Thresh, forcing out 2 big cooldowns from G2. They had to make 2 rotations, teleport from mid, as well as the Realm Warp coming through, just to stay even in the map state.
G2 can get exclusive vision on an area, then suddenly the Nautilus Veigar will have a lot of zone control, but so behind in map control that it's more about pick wards. For Chris to try to get an initiation, Thresh has been unleashed on the map, and that's why you just have so much ability as LWX to push up and even greed for a turret plate just as the turret plates fall.
Look at Doing B. He's going to get caught out there by the dredge line of Mickey, so that's an initiation or a tower dive that is somewhat thwarted. Just over a minute away from breaking the record for the Lotus first blood. True shot barrage comes out. LWX gets tagged. The death sentence pulls back Mickey. He escapes with his life for now. First blood to the first blood king from Europe. But what more can they get? Wonder continues to chase. Remember, the Realm Warp is on cooldown. Mystic Shark will not find a target as the Arcane Shift sends Perks over the wall. G2 get one back.
And Caps is able to make the pick. The Glacial Augment slowing them down long enough for G2 to get some money in the bank.
FPX weren't in position to use their globals that time. Gimgoon's ult just about to come off cooldown. You're right, the slowing field is what leads to hesitation for once, and LWX being chunked means that he takes the safest route and doesn't put out damage.
Then follows it up with the stun on the Veigar cage, getting the kill. Galio ultimate also used, so when we get back to live, you have to count your cooldowns.
After that kill, Paris is ignited. 11 plates to 2. I am a little bit more of a pessimist in real life and don't yet share the hope that is felt by the Parisian crowd. G2 Esports have 2 minutes until the next Infernal. And that 1,500 gold lead does feel less bad the longer we go into this game. That dirty S word that you were talking about,
Scaling.
Papa Smithy, of scaling, it can come to help G2 if they stay this close.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot of help, though, Quickshot, because LWX is window shopping right now, and he's eyeing that Infinity Edge, and he is very close. One more paycheck, one more recall, he gets Infinity Edge, and then because LWX has gotten so much money funneled into him, he can even afford an early QSS.
And it's worth mentioning that G2's comp doesn't chase very well. Veigar wants people coming to him. His range on his event horizon is relatively short. So with the fact that they're behind, smack down the control wards and you're probably fine as FPX for quite a while in this game.
And so important to note the tools that LWX can use with that ultimate, with that flash to get away some of the key initiation. The Dark Matter gets thrown down into the river. So 1 minute until Dragon, you can already feel FPX cheating towards that bottom half of the map. They're pushing their vision forward. Kobe and G2, do you think they try to contest this next one? They've conceded the last few.
I would actually expect G2 to attack the opposite side of the map and get the Rise into top lane to get that last outer turret solo gold. If you can get Wonder more fed, Papa Smithy's talking about, you know, the power and side lane Rise later in the game in splitting the map. Yes, you have to deal with Gangplank and Galio ultimates, but you have to play off of your strengths.
Now, you reach a point in this game where both Galio and Gangplank will be exposed by the champions in the solo lanes of G2. So that's what you want to get to as fast as possible. But these moments where you're setting up around the Drake do at least not cede advantages to FPX.
10 seconds until Drake. LWX has not gone shopping. He does not have teleport available. So that Infinity Edge and QSS you were talking about, Kobe, is not yet activated. Hero's Entrance is available for Doinby. Cannon Barrage is available for Gimgoon. And Gimgoon is coming from base. There is a lot of damage from that Dark Matter coming down. Infernal
burn it
down to 2,000 HP. Here comes Tian. We're into a smite fight. It's secured by Yankos, but Doinby gets the kill. Now all of a sudden Tian's running for his life. The Realm Warp from Wonder might deliver Mickey to safety, and they get out. They trade one for Infernal.
Hashtag worth for the side of G2. They take an Infernal under the nose of FPX, and they get a decent reset to mid lane as well.
Woo, the world was holding its breath on that one, Papa Smithy. As Yankos gets kicked out of the pit, he's able to land the smite, and even though he goes down, G2 will take that because of the scaling that they're trying to lean on. In the end, though, FPX are able to clean another G2 member off the map.
And these are the windows we alluded to, the no IE being done. LWX late to the picture here. Ooh. You see the New Age combo, you have to flash before you taunt now as the Galio. So it looks a bit different, they don't get the full CC direction, and the fadeaway smite works from the grave for Yankos.
I did more than hold my breath, Kobe. I clenched as well, but Yankos gets the secure. And G2 are still 2,000 gold down. The only kill accrued is with Yankos. And Perks now finds himself in a challenge up top while Yankos is able to get helped out, and Caps finds finds a kill onto Chris. Perks has got flash available to him. Teleports traded. The barrel comes down. Hero's entrance lands onto Gimgoon. Wonder finishes the teleport, but that's going to be a taunt. It's flashed away from. Wonder stays alive, keeps alive, gets away. Tian's now the target. Gets tagged and slowed, and Red Buff does its work. It's a trade of 1-for-1, but teleports were committed, and G2 are now on the offensive.
Remain on the attack, Trevor. They're still looking to create plays, and after this, they're able to force them back. It looks like they're going to roam into the river and go towards mid rather than trying to push down this turret.
2 games ago, Papa Smithy, you called it. G2 will not go quietly into the French night. They continue to find opportunities to fight, and they want to extend this series.
And when we get the replay, you see one of the shortcomings of FPX is that they look at what resources they have and say, we could get a kill here. They don't always respect enemy TP timings, and they were just outnumbered on the play.
And highlighting the G2 composition again, and the Veigar pick. Well, let's take a look at what happened after the initial pick. It is FPX trying to force a counterattack, but you know that G2 have the extra champion advantage, so there's a time limit on this FPX play. And because Wonder delays that long, it means there's a counter kill for G2, and in the end they go 2-for-1. FPX starting up the Baron though.
You've got to be kidding, you've got to be kidding. The Baron has already been started. 20 minutes and 10 seconds. They've already set a record. Jankos escapes a hook, but he gets caught by a barrel. Crisp is locked down, but none of the damage follows. That was fired too early. G2 have been able to thwart the Baron play, and that will be enough for now.
They want the enemy to come to them. Like we mentioned, that's where G2 might be weaker, but they don't actually register the death sentence. They have to use a stopwatch. FPX fishing. This time, nothing's by.
All right, G2 need to get their game plan online here, push the side wave with Wonder on the rise, and then you look to use the Veigar pick potential that they drafted for, right? This is the pick that is supposed to be the surprise twist at the end. With that and a Nautilus, you have a lot of potential of trying to pick off those members. Again, Crisp is always the target.
And you see the vision here? This is exactly what you want, because remember that Event Horizon is an entire choke that you can't contest the Baron from. So getting Baron vision when they feel strong enough and then forcing FPX to check, that's exactly how G2 find a Baron.
Meanwhile, looking from FPX's side, the Infinity Edge was completed by LWX, and they have the possibilities of this Galio ultimate to answer. So it's much more about the counterplay rather than setting up an offensive look.
You can see Caps right now stepping
Here we go.
forward, throws out the spooky ghost. The dark matter comes down as well, but he held onto the primordial boost. Jankos has locked down Doinb inside the Cataclysm. He now is the target. That's a body block from Wonder. Steps in front of the Justice Punch, but the death sentence is amazing. Mickey is caught. Crisp. That was fresh and clean, but G2 aren't done yet. They're putting pressure onto the tower. The Event Horizon blocks down some, but the kick back under the tower. Tian gets blown up, but he secures a kill into Wonder. It's not done yet as Gimgoon is now stepping forward. Cannon Barrage will come up and available in just a moment. The Super Soaker is thrown out by Caps, but there's no follow-up damage. Gimgoon is being zoned away by Jankos.
These pushes are being played around the cooldown of the Event Horizon from Veigar. You can see the only opportunity for FPX to counterattack is after that is used in mid. In the end, G2 are able to force another tower kill for themselves. Here's the first one. They pick out LWX and then switch focus over to Doinb. Jankos also able to interrupt here, and even though he goes through, it's actually a hook from Crisp, pulling Mickey under the tower and forcing this opportunity.
Each of these fights played on the finest of margins. So close to this flank here, and even the flanking barrels from Gimgoon making a difference.
That replay brought to you by Axe Gaming. What's your move? G2 keeping themselves in it. The Drake, I think,
Doing it again.
completed there by Perks. True Shot Barrage is on cooldown, but the Dragon is secured. 5 members of FPX are in the pit. Teleporters coming down. Baron is available for the taking, and it will be secured by Tian and FPX. But at what cost? The Winds of War come out, and as the feathers fly, they're pulled backwards. That lands a route onto Mickey. Hero's entrance is the escape route for Doinb. They get Baron, they get out. That was beautiful.
Look at the coordination on that call. They preemptively talk about, I'm laying the lantern here, go into the pit to then ultimate out, and they make sure every member of FPX leaves wearing purple.
I love the geometry kind of plays they do about attacking every angle, opening up space, leaving the Gallios the tasty treat to ult out. There was just no way to punish for G2.
You can literally see the communication and the forethought from FPX as the game is playing out here. And now, what will they do with the Baron buff? Mid lane has an outer turret left standing. They can just try and send Galio here, who is waiting on ultimate cooldown to be able to clean up the AoE.
And I was trying to say a moment or two ago that, Papa Smithy, you talked about how G2 don't really chase particularly well. They're hoping that GLP and the Spooky Ghosts will do something. But now, fortunately, FPX have to come to them with Baron empowered minions, with the ability to siege and to push forward. Maybe G2 can find opportunities. Kimgun is waiting in the wings.
FPX have to seed, and they have to give respect to this push because they don't have the Galio ultimate yet. It's a few more seconds left on cooldown, and they don't have the positioning.
Running through mid lane really gets nothing. You cannot get through what is kind of a freeze scenario with Veigar having Event Horizon every minion wave and just having a super low range comp again. That's been FPX's story the entire time. They never play range top laners. It's been mostly melee mid laners. So because of that, they're gonna fight. They have to play 3 lanes to really get Baron value.
And thank you to the observers for highlighting the vision difference there. G2 Esports just trying to cover the mid lane river entrances, and they don't have particularly deep vision. While they were just waiting in the wings, DoinB is able to push all the way to top inner, get a lot of damage down, and while G2 are responding, it'll open up the ability in the mid lane for FPX to push.
That timing window we talked about, Quickshot, is almost up. FPX trying to collapse here now. G2, will they get him?
All right, now look at the minimap at what cost. DoinB gets the kill onto Caps, and the teleports now come in. This could be it for G2. LWX goes forward. He won't find the kill into Jankos, but there is a potential reply.
Oh!
Time doesn't do anything. Perkz stays alive. It's a fight on multiple fronts. Now Perkz is in trouble. He's got no flash. He's got low mana, and he can't find anything. Tian takes him down. FunPlus Phoenix, accelerating ahead. Nearly 5,000 gold.
Observers once again show the true genius of the FPX plan.
Sentenced to death. Wonder, Chris, Flash, Q's, and FPX, they want to lift the cup.
Behind enemy lines, the picks there were obscene. Tian kicking the Veigar to his death. Meant no delays. They're going to break the base on this Baron.
Inhibitors going to fall. Mickey and Caps, they have respawned. G2 Esports down 5,500 gold. The hope of Europe, the hope of the Grand Slam, and it is fleeting and flying away as FPX are crushing them.
There's nothing proverbial about that dagger through the heart. It was clear. Watch the replay. Tian has been behind enemy lines for so long as G2 come to try to kill the Galio, and once again the communication is real. He finds his man. Doesn't matter that he misses the kick. It's an alley-oop to DoinB.
Yeah, I was skeptical they would have enough damage to finish it off since the Sonic Wave doesn't hit, but DoinB just dunks him there. And then you can see the plan come to fruition for FPX. And this is what we are talking about. They pull together the collapse. Tian actually able to safeguard away from Mickey's hook, and then Perkz is left by himself, isolated, where they thought that G2 were the ones springing the trap.
The G2 story all year was no man left behind, styling as a 5-man group, but it's been FPX in this best of 5 who have been more on point in moments like that. Very equal damage share coming through, as you were kind of talking about there, Kobe. They don't really have a massive damage dealer when Zaya's been zoned pretty frequently. Here we go.
All right, there's the engage. Event Horizon and Cataclysm. Perkz escapes over the wall, but Mickey's the sacrificial lamb. DoinB goes down. It's Perkz to get the kill. Now Kimgun's going low. True Shot Rush flies across, but G2 Esports are buying time. Keep your eyes on the minimap. Super's pouring in the base.
That kill just earned them survival in this series. Quickshot. G2 fight to live another day. They get a critical pick when there are very little windows to go for, and they're able to take down DoinB. That means they're able to reset off these super minions. What can they actually complete, though?
We'll lose the Mountain Drake, but take your point, Kobe. If that fight goes another 25 seconds, suddenly they're losing an inhibitor turret to the Windians in the top side. You got to pick your battles. You got to get the most you can, and just living, just hanging on in this best of 5 was honestly the most G2 could hope for.
Yeah, and what can they complete? Not that much, right? You know that FPX are going to reset, and they're going to come knocking once again. This time with super minions flooding in topside again with the weakened Nexus turrets as well. You can't let that go on for very long. Baron will be spawning in 38 seconds. Let's see about the transition of wards into the next team fight area.
We should mention, this is probably the strongest point in the game for FPX. Relatively, it feels like every other 1,000 gold to G2 with their scaling is going to put them more and more into a scenario where they can fight. So they may be down 5,000 gold, but every 1,000 gold from here is better spent by G2 compared to FPX.
All right, this is the opportunity that G2 bought with that pick. They're trying to make a play in the fog of war. They have to hope for some member of FPX to be straggling and then take surprise once again. But that Scryer's Bloom gives up the whole game.
5 seconds till Baron. It is caught here on camera. Super's just about to crest the steps of the G2 base, and Wonder with no teleport available. He's starting to make his way up. FunPlus haven't even hesitated. They're already on the objective.
G2 have only one controller. They have to use the Ezreal ult to check here. Baron at half health.
All right, True Shot Barrage goes up. Death Sentence lands onto Jankos. He caught up by the box and the play. He goes in with the Cataclysm and hops right back out. The Baron is the target, and it will be secured. It's LWX that does so, but it's at the cost of Chris Fly. Hero Zetris comes in, and Dwimby is chasing forward. That's already a kill onto Jankos. This could be it. Now Wonder's in trouble as Caps goes golden under the hourglass. He needs to do so much more. Will throw down the event horizon, but it doesn't matter. 2 members of G2 are left to fend off 4 from FunPlus Phoenix.
FPX are headed straight for that Nexus, and it's only Wonder and Perks left standing.
FunPlus Phoenix are looking to silence the haters and stun the world with their own style of League of Legends. They are pushing onto the Nexus. The favorites of G2 in Paris did not stand a chance, and FunPlus, they've taken down the Nexus. They turn their attention to Wonder. Tian goes down. Perks kills Kimgoon. The Nexus is being focused. It's going down. And FunPlus Phoenix are your world champions. That was one of the closest finishes I have seen, but the series was one-sided. The LPL are back-to-back world champions, and today, FunPlus Phoenix are the 2019 League of Legends World Champions!
FPX dominated the LPL, and they have dominated Worlds as well. There were doubters after the group stage, people wondering about their path here to the finals, but they leave no doubt about it in this series.
And finally, Kobe, we can say for a region that's not Korea, that regional domination can translate to world domination. They come to Worlds. They had questions raised at the start of groups, but they built, and they built, and the final form was world's best.
And the question that we asked a couple games ago, is this the beginning of the LPL era?
Yes, I mean,
2 years in a row, 2 3-0 victories. You have to say goodbye to G2 Esports. They failed at the final hurdle. Caps, the only player to LEC player to make back-to-back finals and go down 0-3 both times.
Well, let's make sure to reframe that as failing the final hurdle for the Grand Slam is still being one best of 5 away from being the first ever Grand Slam winners. It's still a massive result, but just like SKT and other teams, there is competition out there to compete.
Look at the smiles on the faces of FunPlus Phoenix. Let's hope they don't get too carried away.
Get some friends.
With the Summoners Cup.
Looks pretty heavy.
What a run. What a story, Kobe. They fail in spring. They didn't work in 2018. The addition of 2 players wins them the summer split. The #1 seed from LPL eliminates the defending world champion and shuts down the European team that was somewhat fabled to take it all.
And they did it in style, in their own style.
A week ago, Warhorse and FPX, they said they wanted Paris to cheer FPX, and that is what you are hearing now. FunPlus Phoenix are being acknowledged by the Parisian crowd. Kobe, you're 100% right, in style.
It also highlights how you can have success with fairly young talent, fresh faces to the world stage, coming in and dominating in this fashion.
Having your own system versus a team that found most of their success at Worlds by responding and disseminating the enemy system seemed to be an edge here. And when we had such split leaders, really felt like the LCK and LPL were very dominantly behind FPX as the champion here, and the Western regions very behind the idea of G2 running the Grand Slam. But it's a reality check for the world here in the manner in which FPX just ran over G2.
Bonjour, Paris. Thank you for the respect and the admiration that FPX deserve. The team said they wanted to hear those cheers, and they did, and they have earned them. Unequivocally the best team on the day today. And while this series did not look great for G2, like you said, Papa Smithy, it has been a phenomenal year for the players on your screen. It was the final series. They went 8-1 in best of fives this year. But that one loss will sting more than any other.
LPL will take the Summoners Cup back to China next year for Worlds. Potentially FPX defending their crown in that tournament. So much to think about here. It's a big moment, even if it wasn't the 5-game series that I think a lot of people were banking.
After game one, I had so much hope. It didn't work out, and now we're going to head on stage where Shox is interviewing your new world champions.
Thank you very much. I'm here with the 2019 World Champions, FPX. And first up, I have to go to Doing Me, a man who's been through so much and has fought so hard to get to this point. What does it mean to you to be able to lift the Summoners Cup?
多恩比，你目前已经征战了非常的多年，终于可以举起这个召唤师总决赛的奖杯，对你而言是什么意义？
就终于证明了自己吧。我这种中单都能拿冠军，因为之前很多人说我这种风格的中单不配拿冠军，但今年终于拿了冠军，我就证明了自己，我这种打法也可以拿冠军。谢谢，感谢我的队友。
I think that I've finally proven myself. Even a mid laner like me could take the championship. Before this, a lot of people said that a mid laner that played my style didn't deserve to win the championship, but I think I finally proved it. I am deserving, and I want to thank all of my teammates and everyone that supported me.
Fantastique. Elle remercie toute son équipe et dit que normalement, les personnes ont dit qu'une personne et un mid-laner avec cette style-ci ne peut pas gagner, mais il a gagné et il veut remercier tous les fans. I have to also go to LWX. LWX, you played absolutely out of your mind, not just in this game, but the entire tournament. Same question for you. What does it mean to you to be able to become a world champion?
LWX， 你这个系列赛真的是玩得非常非常的精彩，打得非常的好。对你而言，终于可以获得冠军，对你是什么意义？
我觉得我也算是证明自己吧，在这个决赛里面。
I think I have also proven myself in this finals.
Yes, he has. LWX, could you also tell me why you think you are so much better than your opponents G2 today as a team?
LWX， 你今天为什么觉得 FPX 可以打得比你们的对手 G2 要来得好这么多？
我觉得今天不是我们打得太好，是对手打得不行。
Today, I don't think it's because we performed especially well. It's because our opponents didn't really perform.
Alors, il explique qu'ils ont gagné pas avec du jeu parfait, mais simplement parce que G2 n'a pas joué très bien aujourd'hui. I do have to also ask about all the support you receive from the fans. And Doinby, you and FPX have gained so many fans in Europe and all around the world for your play this World Championship. What would you like to say to all of them and all of them at home?
多恩比，这次你们来欧洲获得了非常多的新粉丝，你有没有什么话想要对你们获得的这些新粉丝说的，或者是在家收看的粉丝说？
我们等了40天，终于这句话终于喊出来了，我们是冠军！
We've been waiting for 40 days to say this, and finally we can say it on stage. We are the champions.
Je pense que ça ne nécessite pas une traduction. Ils sont les champions, allez. And then I also want to ask about one very special fan in particular, your beautiful wife, Umi, who has been there throughout your entire career and has cheered for you at every single stage this World. What would you like to say to her?
最后一个问题想要问，就是你对于一个非常特别的粉丝，你的老婆乌米，她一直都在你身边陪伴你，跟着你的职业发展，你有没有什么话想对她说？
这次打世界赛之前，我跟老婆说过我会带你去巴黎，但我没有说我们会拿冠军。然后这次拿了冠军，啊，真的感谢你的陪伴。然后就因为之前。 我本来想就退役嘛，然后但是他说再打1年，相信自己。然后后来拿了冠军，我觉得都是没有他的话，我觉得我走不到这舞台上。感谢他，谢谢。
Before we came to Worlds, I said that I would take you to Paris, but I didn't say I would win the World Championship. And looking back at it right now, I really want to thank you for all your company. Before this, I was contemplating retirement, and it was you who told me to believe in myself and give it one more year. So this championship, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much.
Fantastique, Doinby dit que c'est grâce à sa femme qu'il a gagné aujourd'hui et qui était encore en train de jouer. Fantastique, fantastic. Can I get it up one more time for Doinby, LWX, and FPX? You can now join your team. Et maintenant, pour la présentation des médailles à nos champions du monde, je vous prie d'accueillir nos dignitaires to present the medals to our 2019 League of Legends World Champions. I'd like to invite Nicolas Laurent, Riot Games CEO, Mark Merrill and Brandon Beck, founders of Riot Games, John Needham, Global Head of League of Legends Esports, and Monsieur Jean-François Martin, Deputy Mayor of Paris.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're getting a look at our 2019 World Champions, FunPlus Phoenix. They've done it again for the LPL as IG fell in the semifinals. FPX said, don't you worry, we'll give us the opportunity to defend another title on home soil just next year.
And they worked so hard for this title. 3 of the 5 members of this team were a 7th place team just last year. They merged together as a team. They practiced harder than anyone else. They even had stumbles at the very start of Worlds, dropping their very first game to J-Team. But they didn't drop a single game in the finals. The only sweep of the entire knockout stage.
I felt like they didn't even drop a single moment in this series. This was such highs from the team, and we talk about how it feels like we finally got to see FPX. You got to see FPX at their peak. Everyone was performing. LWX, I believe, went deathless this entire series. Crisp was an absolute monster today.
First time that's happened in a World Championship, having a deathless player. It would have been 2 if Gimgoon didn't die at the final Nexus push.
I think it is unreal how well they played. G2 had no answers for the first time in a year.
An absolutely stellar performance out of all 5 members of that team and the support staff behind them. We already have the opportunity to hear from Doonbi and LWX on stage in that winner's interview, what it means for them to rise to the title of champion individually, to have proved themselves when others may have doubted, and to extend that thank you to the support system behind them.
It's frankly such a surreal moment for Doinbi, watching him coming into 2015. Xiaogu were called the kings of team fighting, and again, it was just unlock after unlock after unlock. You never got to see him on the international stage, his first go at it, and to say that he thought about retiring, the fact that the world was almost denied this.
And as we speak about the accomplishments of the team as a whole, we are nearing that all-important presentation of the finals MVP. Again, 5 players do make a team and make a world championship, but 1 makes an MVP, so we're going back to Shocks.
Presented by Oppo. Maintenant, il est temps d'annoncer le MVP de la finale, présenté par Oppo. And this year's winner was voted on by a committee of shoutcasters, experts, and journalists from around the world, representing every competitive region that took part in Worlds 2019. Le gagnant a été choisi par un comité de journalistes, experts et commentateurs à travers le monde, représentant toutes les régions qui ont fait partie des Worlds 2019. Paris, un tonnerre d'applaudissements pour le MVP Oppo du Mondial 2019, Paris. Please join me in congratulating your 2019 World Championship Finals Oppo MVP, Tien. Merci, Nicolas. Tien, congratulations on a phenomenal World Championship. Can you tell me about the honor of winning the Oppo MVP here in the final? You can hold it if you like.
恭喜你获得这一次世界总冠军的决赛的 MVP。你可以跟我们讲一下获得这个殊荣对你是什么感觉、什么意义吗？
我觉得我这3盘就是做到了自己该做的，然后 FMVP 这个是我没有想到的，我觉得我现在很惊讶吧。
I felt in these 3 games I did everything that I was required to do, but to take the FMVP, I'm actually very surprised.
Il est encore un peu surprisé d'avoir gagné le MVP. But when we look at the entire tournament and also the finals, you did play phenomenally well. So what would you say puts you above the other junglers in this tournament and also the one in this final?
你表现得非常的出色，那你觉得是什么样子的表现让你可以区别从就你自己跟区别其他的打野，然后也让你表现得比今天对面的打野好一点？
就是我之前在国内看评论的时候，经常会看到就是很多人会说我的打法像谁谁谁，像谁谁谁。其实我一直觉得我是就是我的风格是怎么说，就是跟别人完全不一样的。所以但我之前一直没有机会，就是说证明自己。现在我想说就是我就是我自己，我就是天。
Back in China, I used to read a lot of comment sections that said Tien played like XXX player, played like who, but this time I just wanted to prove that I am myself, I am Tien.
Il explique qu'il a lu beaucoup de commentaires très très mal Et maintenant, il est fier d'être Tien et être le MVP Oppo de la finale. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Tien. You can join your team to lift the trophy once again. Tien, don't forget this.
Okay, guys. There you have it, the MVP Tien humbly accepting his award, citing that he does believe he fulfilled his duties, but a bit surprised to have received it himself.
Wait for the lift. Oh, team
The
effort.
moment that all of China and FPX has been waiting for, as a team and as a region, to lift this trophy once again. An incredible moment made possible by an incredible team. Made all that much more incredible when we talk about where they came from, what they had to go through, the obstacles they had to overcome to make this statement so definitively on this stage today.
Domestically this year, they were 0.7% off being the most winningest team in LPL history. Throughout playoffs, they showcased what they were capable of. We were all doubters of whether or not they would be able to match what G2 showed, but they silenced us. With a clean 3-0 and an impressive performance, the LPL showcased that it is filled to the brim with talent as a new team claims the title of World Champion.
And I even think, talking about the MVP, it's very hard to give out that award. It was a group of people that awarded it. I think you could make arguments for Chris, for LWX, for Tien, obviously, but I feel like they won so much as a team, and that was really their story this entire Worlds.
It feels like to compete with G2, you had to have mechanics as the bare minimum, otherwise it wasn't going to be a contest. And now in the LPL, you must be superstars to even get close to the top. The fact that they went through the defending world champion, that they took the title in both, or in the summer and had the winningest record, like, filled to the brim, doesn't even begin to cover it. This is 16 teams, 7 different arenas, the biggest league in the world, and it's just going to keep coming. LPL's dominance will not stop.
And it's going to Worlds next year. Worlds is going to be in China. And I think this FPX team can be inspirational to other teams, maybe even more so than IG, because IG had the Shy and Rookie, two people who you're going to say, wow, they're just on another level. It's like they have cheat codes on. Whereas this team, literally a year ago, none of these players would be considered top 2, maybe top 3 in the world. Doinby would be the only one who'd be in that conversation. But in a year, they've become world champions.
And it's this idea of ripples. This team doesn't exist if Edward Gaming hadn't won in 2015. Tien talks about Clearlove, how he was inspired by him. Raz did a beautiful segment talking about the history there. Chris as well. These guys, they watched EDG lift that trophy. They now lift it today. And like you're saying, Jat, who knows who will see this? League is that old now that these players are growing up knowing, I want to be Chris. I want to be Tien.
And as FunPlus Phoenix takes their victory lap around the Accor Hotel's arena, taking their bows and breathing in this moment, we can confidently say that Doinby got his wish from just a couple weeks ago when he said, I hope that people can chant our name when we make it to the finals and hoist that Summoners Cup. That very thing did take place today, and it is so much deserved.
Also want to credit this crowd as well. You know there were a ton of G2 hopeful, but they are showing the due respect to the world champions, giving them a standing ovation earlier, chanting their name as you mentioned, and applauding them once again as they take their victory lap.
That trophy's heavy. I like to see them sharing the load. Teamwork all the way from start to finish.
And I think it's only fitting that it's Chris and Tien that are leading the charge there. We talked about how if anyone was going to outclass a position, it was going to start with those two. I think they certainly proved it on the day.
And I love the fact that these interviews, again, it was all about proving myself, showing that this name, Tien, you know, I'm not this other jungler. You don't have to say I'm playing like someone else. I'm playing like Tien. I was better than anyone else in my role at Worlds.
G2 re-entering the arena themselves. An opportunity to stand in front of the crowd once again. On home soil, they fought valiantly. Again, as you mentioned, Frost, it should not go unrecognized that this team came closer than any to completing the Grand Slam, falling short in only a single best-of-5 this entire year.
Knowing the players, they're going to feel nothing but disappointment. They're going to feel angry, frustrated. It's too hard to describe how devastated they must feel, but to come back out and soak in the crowd. G2 Esports is not done. This team will be back next year, and you can expect great things from them once again.
A much-deserved bow for an incredible tournament run. And Deficio, I'm only reminded of our discussion at the beginning of the day around G2 and how they ascended to the position they are, their periods of rebuilding, the constant iteration. And now we'll hear from the team themselves. Back to Shops.
What you can, despite everything, say about your wonderful players.
It's complicated because I'm really sad. I'm really fuck. No. I'm very proud of all the fans that came here, all the fans that supported online, the players, the support staff, management, everybody worked so hard to get here. It was an unbelievable year. Fuck. And today, FunPlus Phoenix played better. They deserved it. The winner has to be the better team, and they were the better team. And I'm very proud of everything we've done this year. We just got started, and it's hard to see it right now because we just lost, but a lot of we should be proud. You guys should be proud of all the players. Fuck!
Don't worry, Carlos. We completely understand your reaction. I am going to let you go because I see how hard this is for you. Thank you so much for speaking to me, unless there's anything else you'd want to say. No? Go ahead.
Fuck!
No problem.
Paris Mayor there.
Despite the loss, G2 Esports is saying hello to their fans who have supported them. Once again, a big thank you for Ocelot for speaking to us, and we will look forward to the future for G2 as well. But now moving on and looking ahead, l'année dernière, Riot Games a annoncé que la Chine sera l'hôte du Mondial 2020, et aujourd'hui, nous avons un peu plus à partager au sujet du 10e championnat du monde. Last year, Riot Games announced that China would be the host of the World Championship in 2020. And today, we have a little more to share as we look towards the 10th League of Legends World Championship. fantastique pour tourner la page sur le championnat du monde 2019 et entamer le nouveau chapitre de League of Legends compétitive. Je vous prie de faire bienvenue de nouveau de le député maire de Paris, Monsieur Jean-François Martins. To close the book on Worlds 2019 and start the next chapter in competitive League of Legends, I would like to once again welcome Monsieur Jean-François Martins, the deputy mayor of Paris, as well as Madame Chauffe-Yu, directeur général d'administration municipale de la culture et du tourisme du Shanghai, and Ms. Chauffe-Yu, director general of the Shanghai Municipal Administration of Culture and Tourism. Et avec ce totem, il est temps de clore cette saison compétitive 2019 et de passer le relais aux organisateurs de la finale du championnat du monde en 2020. With this totem passing from city to city, it is time to end the 2019 competitive season and hand things over to the host for the 2020 World Championship Finals.
And as League of Legends as a game celebrates its 10th year anniversary with the passing of that there, we begin the celebration of the 10th year of League of Legends Esports, which will culminate in 2020 in Shanghai. What an incredible intro. 12 months away, but woo, no time to breathe. You guys ready to go?
Okay, quick, lightning round. Is China good enough that they can break the curse that on home soil they can lift the trophy?
Yes. Oh, yeah, they definitely are. They produce talented teams every split, every year, and next year it's only going to get more competitive at the top of the LPL. I cannot wait to see what they bring to the table next year. It's going to be difficult for the rest of the world.
If it wasn't already very clear with last year's dominant victory, I think FPX have cemented it here with their 3-0 that the LPL is the most dominant region in the world, and they'll look to maintain that form going into 2020.
Exactly. We thought beating SKT in a semi-final was harder than beating the defending world champions in IG. Turned out we were completely wrong because FPX had a million plays like the ones we're seeing right now. They could go to any lane, wherever they wanted to in the early game. They could pull off insane little combos like the Kaiser ulti here to get away from 4 people.
And there's no weak point. There was no place that you could attack FPX. You couldn't hit him in the draft. You couldn't hit him in the bot lane. You couldn't hit him in the top lane. Everyone stood tall on this team. And when you're more than the sum of your parts, and all of your parts look like superstars on the day, that is how you get this type of 3-0.
I feel like we saw very traditional FPX. I feel like we saw the roaming mid. We saw the combination of Tian and Crisp, and it really did feel like even though you knew it was coming, there was nothing you could do to stop it. And that is what made this team so terrifying and so successful in this finals.
And I think a big part of that, Vetty, was the fact that they kept winning skill checks. They had the basically blind pick champion for Doinby in the mid lane, and then Caps was unable to become mobile against it, and he got to roam. They had 3 different bottom lane duos that G2 tried to answer, and G2 was unable to answer that every time. In part because Doinby was roaming down, but overall and across the map, they were winning the skill checks and then also were able to convert the team.
I mean, you talk about skill check, what about trust falls? The fact that Doinby just launched himself at LWX, and LWX didn't buckle at all. He's like, yes, I got you.
Well, that feeling is going to stick with them forever. I can guarantee that. But Jat, if we roll all the way back to the top of the day, talking about what might be the difference makers in this series, there was conversation around that mid lane. There was conversation around Doinby and what he would step to the table with. That was a known quantity. How would G2 respond? And it did end up breaking the series in some fashion.
And I think there will be a ton of analysis to do after this series and criticisms to be thrown towards different things. But if you're playing against this team, you do not want to concede early game mid push because they will crush you. And Pyke and Nautilus conceded the early game push. Tristana and Rise was unable to create early game push, and Vigar can't move. So the 3 champions that Caps played were not to the tournament meta that had developed and were not towards G2's strengths. And all of those things were an attempt to answer Doinby, and they failed.
I mean, I think that if G2 have a run at this series again, they don't make that same mistake. I think that's the easiest thing to take away. But even if they change it up, I don't know if it's good enough to still beat FPX. This version
That's
of FPX, even on G2's best day, probably would have slammed that door.
Because you look down to the bottom lane, you look at that 2v2, one of the things we highlighted coming in as well was the support matchup.
Yeah.
Crisp won that matchup so hard.
Crisp was so good.
Every single game. No matter what he ended up playing, he took the blind pick, thresh it, throw whatever you have at me. I don't care. I can create plays. I have the lancer to save my teammates. In every skirmish, he's there. He played like the best support in the world.
That Galio ultimate into Lantern Escape from the Baron Pit in Game 3 was mind-boggling. An absolutely stellar performance out of him, but again, as we mentioned, so much a team effort, you know, for FunPlus Phoenix. That has been their identity all season long. But we do have to talk about one more. That would be our MVP.
Oh yeah, the world's MVP.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about him. Tien in the jungle. So much of that early game, what we had teased might be, again, another difference maker.
I'm just going to throw it out there. I think he might ask for a Lee Sin skin. I feel like, considering how much power he had on the champion, it was something that he might go for, and it's something that he got in every single game. His performance was incredible. We heard it when he was in that interview with Shox, where he said, I felt like I just did what I needed. But if you consider his performance the baseline, think about what it would look like if he was overperforming.
And if you told me before the series started that if FPX win, Tien will be the MVP, I'd be like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, you know? Last year, when Ning got the MVP, another jungler, we were super surprised. We didn't expect him to play that way, but Tien played the same way he's played all worlds long. He's a step above the competition, because not only is he mechanically able to pull off everything you need, and he can play all these different picks, he's so smart. He's everywhere he needs to be.
He's 18. He's playing
That's unfair as well.
like an incredibly experienced jungler.
I mean,
it's not fair.
It is.
So we have 6-7 years of this with Tien, basically.
Possibly. I do want to credit the rest of FPX for this. We mentioned how Doonby's junglers always seem to be successful. And also, I want to credit Warhorse, the coach of FPX, who coached Karsa and Sword Art, that legendary jungler support duo for 5 years, in helping these young players learn more about the game and basically turning this mechanical god with also Karsa's brain and become this unstoppable monster.
And while we, you know, tout the accomplishments of FunPlus Phoenix, I think it is important to recognize the team on the other side of the rift. G2 Esports on home soil. They mustered quite a fight, but it wasn't enough on the day.
I think Vedius said it right, which is today's going to suck, tomorrow will be better.
Yep.
It was right in front of them. They should be very proud for how many steps they were, for how close they were, but in that same breath, because you were so close, this one is going to hurt, especially in the performance and the way that they did it. That was not G2's best. Jankos was invisible. Mickey was having a very rough series. Perks was getting skill checked left, right, and center. I don't know, fell apart.
And that's why it's going to hurt them more than anything. If they had lost playing at 100%, I think they would have been, okay, we just need to get better. But they know that they were not playing at their peak. They know that they could have done more, and I think that's going to hurt them the most. Because when you go up against a team like FPX who perform at that level, even the smallest mistake ends up getting punished.
But we said the same thing in the semifinal when IG lost to FPX. Oh, if they just played at 100%, they could have done more. Maybe FPX just make sure you can't. You cannot get to 100 because they will be able to match whatever you're doing. They can individually actually shut you down. They were always doing what G2 did to every team they played so far. Oh, we want to fight top? We're here as 4. You're not even close to being ready to match us. They were so good at creating numbers advantage. So I think they just make it super, super hard for you to feel like that you're actually playing at your top.
Throughout the series, we would see G2 start to set up plays that had worked against SKT, that had worked against Dom1, and they would back away, they'd find a way out, and then, unlike the other teams, they would turn it around on them. And I feel like after 2 games of that happening, G2 just kind of lost their motivation to go for plays. That's part of what happens when they pick the Veigar in Game 3. They say, our roaming isn't working, let's pick something safe and make them be proactive. FPX could do that too, so that's why I was a 3-0.
Tonight, the 2 best teams in the world stood toe-to-toe, but only one could remain at the end of it all, and that would be FunPlus Phoenix of the LPL. Before we sign off, though, here's a message from Shanghai's Vice Mayor, the gracious host of the 2020 World Finals.
全球英雄联盟的选手和召唤师们，我代表上海市政府，热烈欢迎第10届英雄联盟全球总决赛正式落户上海。让我们2020相约上海，共同感受电竞的激情，一起为电竞加油。See you in Shanghai.
Again, I can't say anything but I can't wait to be in China next year to watch this all unfold again. Back-to-back titles for the home region, looking to defend it once again and maybe achieve that all coveted three-peat.
And is LPL strong enough to break that curse? Because we feel like the home crowd never gets to lift up the trophy. Could be this time.
Yeah, they will definitely be favorites. I still think with what we've seen in the past 2 years, it's definitely not a certainty. I think we saw 3 LCK teams win their group stage. We've seen Europe make it to finals 2 consecutive years as well. Everyone is going to be re-gearing up. It's disappointing now for G2. They'll be back. Everyone's going to be going to Shanghai trying to win.
I just want week 1 of spring in every region so we can start seeing, okay, who can actually start moving towards Worlds. MSI first, then Worlds after, and actually compete for the trophy, because at this point, all the major regions can do it.
Thank you for keeping us on track, Deficio. I know I can always count on you for that. Before we go to the Axe big moves from all of Worlds 2019, I'd like to say thank you from all of us here. Thank you so much for tuning in throughout all of Worlds. Thank you to the fans in Berlin, Madrid, and Paris. We'll see you next year, and good night.